All right, everyone. We have the one and only Katie Day from Texas. She runs a massive team out there. She sells a bunch of houses. I think when I saw you like 5 years ago live for the first time, your team had sold like 200 houses. She's a social media guru. I first met her on Clubhouse. She doesn't know who I am on there. I was just listening to her. And she was very impressed that I could name all 50 states when we were in Dallas this year. Isn't that right, Katie?
Yeah, it was. I was quizzing him like rapid fire.
There you go. So, Katie, get us started. How did you get into real estate?
Yeah, for sure. So I got into real estate full time in 2017, and then did the real estate thing for a while on my own. Ended up starting a team in sorry, I'm putting my phone on do not disturb. Ended up starting a team in 2018 and had a lot of trial and error, learning by making a lot of mistakes. And then we really started to grow the team kind of in 2021. So we kind of floated around that like 5 agent mark for 2018, 19, and then into 2020 and 2021 is really when we started to scale. So today we have 14 agents plus my husband and I. We have 3 admin and 2 VAs and a videographer. So yeah.
And how many people are on your team?
So we've got 14 agents, 16 total,
Wow.
if you include my husband and me.
So 14 agents, 2 videographers. I just gotta follow all this. How many VAs?
So we got 2 VAs, we have a videographer, and then 3 local like admin and people in support roles.
That's awesome. That's one of like the most organized teams I've heard so far. How did you start? Did you start with like a buyer's agent? Did you start with a videographer? Did you start with a VA? Kind of run us through that process.
Yeah, so we started, and everyone's going to tell you that your first hire should be an admin, right? It should be someone that's going to help you with your paperwork and help you with like the administrative side of things. And I, like so many other agents, out there, thought that I was smarter than that. So I started with a buyer's agent, but we didn't have any like systems or processes or anything on like how to actually do anything. And so yeah, it was a cluster. And basically, so we had our buyer's agent in September of 2018. We hired her, and then in 2019 is when we realized we needed like transaction coordinator and admin staff and people that were kind of helping on the back end and helping with the systems and kind of the SOPs and process of like how we do things here, right? As opposed to just kind of like figuring it out as we go. That was a lot of 2018 and a good portion of 2019 was kind of figuring it out as we went.
Okay, so you do recommend that you start with a VA then, because I hear that all the time too. Because that's what I did first. I want to kind of start being on a team. I did a VA first. I always thought I was going to do a buyer's agent first, and outsmart everyone. But I did go that route. Actually, the presentation I first saw you at in San Diego, you talked about that a little bit. Well, someone and a couple people in that presentation were talking about that. They were saying, yeah, do a VA first, don't do the buyer's agent.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like if you're an individual agent and you're just looking to leverage your time, I know there are a few Canadians on here, but like here in the States, like it's pretty popular to hire a TC like on a transaction basis to where you're paying a company or you're paying a person, right? And so if Kristen was my TC, I'd be paying her maybe a couple $100s per deal. Here in Texas, it's anywhere between like $300 to $500 per deal that you pay. And you pay them at closing, right? To do all of your paperwork and transaction kind of side of things from contract to close. And so that's something that like would probably be my first thing. Obviously the VA is something that's really cost effective to hire, an admin or an assistant to kind of help with things. If you have 40 hours of work, right? Again, like a VA is going to be under $10 an hour, as opposed to hiring someone in real life will probably be 15 to 20 to 30 plus dollars an hour. If you have an assistant or an admin or someone on your operations side. So yeah, I mean, I would say a TC or some sort of assistant, but like if you don't have tasks for an assistant, it probably doesn't make sense to hire a VA because then they're just going to be like, well, Sean, like, what do you need me to do? And you're like, I don't know, so like you kind of have to get organized on your end first before you start really hiring anyone.
That's actually a really good point, because when I first hired my VA, like I had her so busy the first week, and then I had nothing for her like a week later.
Yeah.
So, but luckily enough, she had like 20 other clients and was okay, kind of like working part time for me. Like she wasn't just my full VA. But yeah, that was a big learning curve for me. Like, oh crap, I was finding work for her to do. I was getting her to design thumbnails for me, just the weirdest stuff after that.
Yeah, your thumbnails are also normal too. So I'm sure that
Yeah, oh, well, that was a long time ago. I do my own thumbnails. Well,
she's like, well, this is
Kristen
weird.
actually does our thumbnails. Okay, so you 2018, 2019, you were learning the systems of how like for your team and stuff. Can you kind of run us through that? What systems are working best for you guys? What didn't work? What do you recommend? What apps? All that.
Yeah. So in the beginning, we just had like a lot of spreadsheets to track everything. So we had like a lead tracker, right? So as all inbound leads came in, we put them into a spreadsheet, right? And then the agent would need to go in and update them of like if it's an A lead, B lead, or C lead, right? And so it doesn't really matter what the characterization is. Like people use A, B, and C. People use like hot, warm, and cold. Whatever it may be, you just need to have some sort of characterization for your leads of like, hey, these are the ones that need to be followed up with weekly. These are biweekly. These are monthly. Kind of cadence of communication. So we had like a spreadsheet for our lead tracker. We had a spreadsheet for all of our deals. And so when a deal would come in, the admin would type it into a spreadsheet and then it would show on like the little board in our Excel sheet.
So no CRM. It was just a
Well,
spreadsheet then.
so yeah, so we did that for like 6 months or so, and then we added in the CRM, and then we added in things like Sisu, and different stuff to track, so that it's like all visual. But yeah, I mean, in the beginning, it was just the spreadsheets, and then it was like the spreadsheet plus the CRM, and then so we use Follow Up Boss, and then we added in Sisu, and so Sisu is like more of an activity tracker, right? And so as the team got larger and we were looking to, hold people accountable to the goals that they had set for the month on, say like, hey, I want to make 500 phone calls. I can be like, hey, Sean, how many calls did you make today? And if he's like, oh, I made 12, like, okay, I have like a tally mark on my desk or something. We switched over to Sisu to where it is, tracking those things. And so we can see on a dashboard how many calls everyone's making, conversations they're having, emails sent, text messages. And then they can manually log stuff like meditation and workouts and, all of that, like personal development stuff too.
If they don't complete their task, like what kind of shaming tactics are used on them? Because I remember my first year I was on a team and they kind of did that with me too, and they kind of call you out in front of everybody. And it worked well
Yeah.
for me, but I know that doesn't work well for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. So we have basically like each week, one of our VAs goes through through Follow Up Boss and checks for like how many pending tasks people have. So like, um, you know, there we have action plans for all of our different, leads. And so you can either manually create tasks or they're automated tasks, depending on what action plan or whatever someone's on. And so she goes through on a weekly basis and says like, hey, I'm gonna rank everyone and say, hey, Sean, you have 5 outstanding tasks. Kristen, you have 50 outstanding tasks. Jared, you have 100 outstanding tasks or whatever it is. And then at whatever point tasks get over 50, they get lead flow shut off. So they won't get any new leads because, they need to handle the ones that they have. So we do that. She also goes through and checks to see like if people aren't on action plans and if they need to be added on to action plans. She'll notify the agents of their people that are not on an action plan. And so right now, those are the two things that she does. Depending on the agents, it's normally the same people that are on those lists. But then like it's one thing like if you have 100 outstanding tasks and like you have nothing in escrow, that's way more concerning than like, oh well, Sean, you have 100 outstanding tasks, but like you put 3 deals under contract, so clearly like that's taking some of your time. That's more of like a friendly reminder of like, hey, you need to, you know, work on the tasks that you have.
I think I spelled Sisu wrong there in the thing. But
It's not
it's
we
not
should put it in
Sisu.
correctly. SISU, not C.
Okay, I thought it'd be like
Sue.
Sisu
No.
because I can see Sue that she's not working. That's how
Yeah,
I put it.
she
Like, sorry about that.
Sisu. Sisu.
Yes. Okay. Richard has a question. Real estate Rich. Do you want to come on in here? Do you want to just want me to ask? It's actually a good question. I was going to ask the same things.
Sure. Katie, what are your main like lead sources for your team, like that you're handing out?
Yeah, for sure. So we break down our team into kind of two two levels, right? And so once they've sold at least 10 homes with us, then they are on kind of the higher level of lead flow. And then, when they first join the team, they're on a little bit lower of a level of lead flow. And so as far as our top lead sources, the places that we get the most business are agent referrals. Following that is our clients and Sphere and their repeat business as well as referral business, right? And so we do client events and things like that to kind of spur on those conversations and getting people to obviously transact with us again and send us more business. So agent referrals, past client, Sphere referrals. And then from there, we get a decent amount of business from YouTube, a little bit of business from Instagram. And then here in Houston, we have a really great association. And so we have like our website, the HAR, our local association websites rank super high on search. So when you search for a property, it's like our HAR ranks over like Zillow and realtor.com and stuff like that. And so we get a lot of leads directly from our HAR.com website. And then everything outside of that is just like random, hey, I clicked on an ad, or hey, open house or things like that. Like none of the other lead sources that we have are significant to the point where it's like 20% or more of our business. The rest are like, 10% or less.
So you're not buying leads then?
So we do PPC. So we have like, I think $1,500 a month go towards Google PPC through our Chime website. And so, that's something that those leads go to the newer agents on the team. And for me, that's more so something that it's like, hey, can you show that you're capable of calling someone for like 6 months straight? Are you capable of doing follow-up and kind of pounding the phones? Those never convert at that high of a rate. There's no one that's like, oh yeah, like for every 10 leads, we close 8 of them. It's more to like 1 out of, 50 kind of thing. But like, it's one of those things that I want to see the persistence, and I want to see, that they're doing the open houses and making calls and doing follow-ups and stuff like that, to then once they're closing deals, then they get, my Sphere referrals, or they get, agent to agent referrals or things like that. Like a brand new agent on the team isn't going to receive those type of leads.
Okay, so when you're saying pounding the phones, you're not getting them to cold call or anything. Those are just following up with leads kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, like PPC, obviously, like they click on an ad and then they submit their information on our website, but like I consider those to be pretty cold-ish calls. The more experienced agents on our team right now are doing a lot of expired calls. We have seen an uptick in expireds over the past probably like 18 months or so. Here in Texas or here in Houston. And so that's something that we've started to see some traction and picking up some listing opportunities from expireds.
For those of you that don't know, PPC means pay per click. Got your back. You're welcome, guys. Okay, so you said mainly referrals. That's awesome. How have you built that referral network? Like agent to agent referrals, like you met on Instagram, just people you connected with over the year? Because that's for 14 people to get that many referrals. That's pretty outstanding.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a few different things. One would be like obviously going to conferences and things like that. So, the majority of the team goes to like the Tom Ferry events, like the summit in Dallas. They'll go to different events here in Texas. So like there was recently a couple of weeks ago, like an event down in Austin that like one of the agents at the brokerage had hosted. And so, who went down there with me? Three of the agents on the team, and I went down for that event, and so they now realize how much more higher intent agent referrals tend to be, right? Because like if Alyssa's listing someone's home for sale and they're moving to Texas, then if they're bought into her and they're like, hey, this is my person in Texas, like they normally like will just go with us, right? It's normally not something where they're interviewing multiple agents. So the in-person events is really good. Obviously, doing different masterminds, and being in different groups as well. And so for any like coaching communities or things like that, like I and for like the brokerage, like our internal workplace and stuff like that, like I try to stay as active as possible. And like I'll normally, a couple times per week go into like, say, the Tom Ferry group for the coaching community. And like, I'll go through and answer as many questions as possible. Like I'll maybe block out like 20 or 30 minutes and just go through and try to answer, as many questions as possible, or like be that connector. So if someone's saying like they're looking to move to like London, then I'd be like, oh, like I know Kristen, and just continue to like tag people and respond to comments and things like that. Just because then like those posts kind of live on, so if someone's looking for something, they may go and search. And if they see my name there, then it's just kind of like that name and brand recognition. And then Instagram's a great way to be able to stay connected with people. And so like Andrew put in the chat, like what things are you guys doing to nurture relationships? And so that's something like, connecting with people on Instagram, right? Like if you're taking a picture together, like tagging it on social or whatever. And then that way, like if you're messaging someone at a later date, like if I knew someone that was moving to Austin and like I'm looking up Austin agents and was like, oh shit, like Andrew lives in Austin, then like if I'm DMing him and we have DM history, like then I know it's going to go to his inbox, right? I know that he's going to see like, oh wait, like we met at this event. I remember her, and I remember having that conversation or whatever. And so that's something that like, staying in touch via social, like I think works better if you at least exchange DMs or communication or whatever it may be, like at the time that you meet, for then future combos.
So that's what I like about you. Like you're there to engage and follow back, and you know what I mean. You're always commenting on my stuff. You're not just like a big shot now. You're always thinking about your business and the bottom line there. There's a lot of these agents that get a big name and they don't care to follow you back or engage with you anymore, and they could be throwing away thousands of referrals that way.
Yeah, it was really the banana video that did it for me. I was like, I didn't want to follow you, and then I was like, like this looks this is the type of content that I need in my life.
Gigi has a question about PPC. Do you want to come in here, Gigi, or do you want me to just ask it for you? I know some people are nervous.
No, I can ask it. Hi, how are you? Thank you. No, I just wanted to see what that type of ad was looking like, because it's so generic now in terms of like free home evaluation. Like no one's going to click on that because there's 500 of the same thing. Just wondering, is there anything unique that you guys are doing that you see is bringing a lot of impressions or clicks?
That is a great question, and I don't run them myself, so I really have no idea. No, so I set them up with a company, and so I do get like monthly reports on the ads or whatever. But basically, we sat down when I first started with them, and they said, "Hey, what areas of town do y'all normally work?" And so I picked out zip codes with them, in different neighborhoods, and then he's running ads based on 3 different areas of town. And then like I think $400,000 or more homes is kind of the target. And so I don't really know what they did to set that up, but it's basically when people Google, like Houston homes for sale or things like that in the zip codes, that's what he's targeting. So I don't think that it's anything special, or unique.
Yeah, it could be your ad budget too. Like if you have a huge ad budget, you can probably, land on those. Really upper
I also
level.
highly recommend hiring someone to do it. I used to try and do it myself. Everything I read online, I hired a company, and again, I have no idea what they do. And yeah, I definitely spend the money. Like ever since I upped my budget, I've been getting way more pay-per-clicks coming in. And they change the ads. If it's not working, I let them know I'm not getting anything. They'll change it up for me, right? So
Well,
Yeah,
I
so-
see the ads that come through Chime. So every time you get a new listing, Chime automatically builds you a landing page for it. And then you can go in and pay $99 and they'll run a week-long campaign for you. And those are just like the most generic things. And I'm still getting 40 or 50 leads in the first 5 or 6 days that those go out. And they're nothing special. So it's just a matter
so
of having a pretty picture.
So I think we spend $1,500 a month, and I'm getting in the last 30 days, 101 inquiries.
that's really good. Like, so what's that per click? I guess I don't know. I won't do the math right now, but yeah, 1,500. Okay, yeah. So I'm spending 500 now. I'm getting about 35 to 40. So yeah, I would say that evens out. The company I'm using is called Agent Locator. Someone asked in the chat, Gigi. I'm not sure if they're in the States, But like
Yeah,
Katie
I,
said,
I looked them up.
they are. Chime's the biggest one I hear people using, right? My agent locator runs my CRM, my website, the Google ads, and I can change which ads I do or the pay per click. And yeah, it just runs through, and then I have like the AI bot that starts talking to them if I can't talk to them. Yeah, yeah. What company does Katie use? She uses Chime, right, Katie?
So it's going to Chime, but Joshua Frankel, I don't know why I can't type his name out. Hold on,
Yeah.
Frankel. That's
You
his
don't have to
email
tell us
address.
anything you don't want to, by the way.
No, I mean, I don't think it's something that is that difficult, right? But
Yeah.
Joshua Frankel, he basically I think used to work for some other company, right? And then he branched out on his own. And so judging by his email, jfrankelppc@gmail.com. So yeah.
That's awesome. Are you doing any of the deals yourself anymore, or do you give everything to your team? Like, say one of your friends wants to buy a house or sell a house. Have you switched? That was one thing that annoyed me with my team leader is he'd give me all of his crappy leads, but then he'd get these amazing leads and he'd get me to even show the houses to all of them, and then he would just keep the whole deal to himself.
So I basically like towards the end of last year, I was almost completely out of production. And so all of everything went to the team. And then as far as friends, I think it depends on the friend of if I would give it to someone else or keep it. If I, I think everyone has those friends who are like, God, I do not want to do business with you. But I'm kidding kind of. But so I do mainly listings. As far as buyers, I generally will give those to the team and have the team assist with buyers. But I did recently, as of like August, hire a showing partner. And so I now have a showing partner that assists with showing homes. They receive a monthly amount of money, right? And then they get 5% of every deal if they show the home. And so like Rachel and Mike Novak and Eric Hatch and Colton Lindsay are all people that Colton Whitney are all people that do that. And so I had talked to them about that for years, and they, kind of have built their little micro teams within their larger team. So I think like the Novaks may have like 10 or 15 agents on their team, but then they have like each have one or two showing partners. And so, for their past clients and their sphere and things like that, like they're continuing to transact with those. So yeah.
Do you think the showing partners take away from the personalization you build with the customer at all? Or do you only use it if you really need to, or like they cover showings like in general now? I'm just curious about that. I'm not saying one way or another is better. It's just
For
something
sure.
I've wondered, right?
Yeah, I mean, so I wasn't, 100% sure of what that would look like, in implementing it. And so, I mean, we've only been doing it for a little while, but we basically, like, depending on the people, right? So I can think of one where we're helping some buyers moving from California to here, right? And so the first consult, it was an agent referral from an agent somewhere else in Texas, right? And they were looking to move to, say, Austin, but then they decided to move to Houston, so they got connected with me. And so on that first initial consult with them, we hopped on Zoom and they hopped on, and I just introduced my showing partner. I'm like, hey, this is Sean. He's my partner. We want to make sure that we have availability to assist you, 7 days a week. So I just want him to be on the call with us so that he can also take notes and make sure that he understands what your search is. Right. And then like when they came to town, we went out and we met, and say they were going to tour 7 homes. I went out for the first 2 or 3 homes. Then I was like, okay, cool. Well, like, Sean's got you. So I'm going to head out. And then we're going to reconvene at the end of the day just to see like kind of what your thoughts were and all that. Right. And so, we basically went out, I bounced and went home, Aisha is my show partner. She went out and continued to show them the rest of the homes. And then, after she showed all of them, she puts all the notes into the CRM and tags me so that I know that she's done and like what they thought. Oh, $100 webcam. Want to know what I thought, or what they thought about the properties and about the homes. And so like then they wanted to put in an offer. So we typed up the offer and then hopped on a Zoom, and it was her and me and them. And we went over all of the terms of the offer, they signed it. And so like we have a group text message, right? That's like the first step is after the consult, we set up a group text message, like we're communicating in that the entire time. I have another one that like, it is a friend of mine. It's a couple, right? And I helped both of them purchase homes, and now they're going to buy a home together. And so like they, have been going out with her to tour properties, and like they're under contract now. So like she's going out today to the inspection. And like I'm in the text message and I'm chiming in too, so it's like they know from the beginning that we both will be helping. And so I think if you provide the appropriate like language and instructions in the beginning, it's fine. But if like, you set an appointment with them and then like Kristen shows up instead of you, then it's like, they're like, well, who the hell is this? Right. But if like me and Kristen are on the call every single time, they're like, oh yeah, like cool. Like, they know who she is kind of thing.
So you structure it in a way to make it seem like they have more help with all these people, right? Like we have everyone helping you every step of the way instead of just one person, right? So that's great. I like what Andrew just said. You're automated your entire business. I don't think I've ever seen anyone this automated. Like this is amazing, right? Like you can scale this to such a big extent. Are you using any AI right now to automate anything?
As far as AI, I mean, we've got, we'll do like the basic, like take the bullet points and drop them into Chat GPT and have her write us a description for a property. I think a lot of what I've used AI for is like to kind of push things along, but like I've never used like a full listing description for a property, like because you get it and it's like everything's like a charming 3-bedroom 2-bathroom home and you're like, okay, this house is not charming, right? And so like I edit everything like that we're using for AI, but it's definitely something that helps to helps to kind of speed things up, right? Because after a while, I think no one, especially with the houses that we sell, like they kind of all look the same. It's like at a certain point, like I need a little help.
Just buy the house. Yeah, that's like I said, Jason Pantana at in Dallas said basically AI works for us and we're just kind of guiding them. So I did the same thing. I get a Chat GPT to write my listing descriptions and then I just pinpoint what I like out of it. Richard, come in. Richard has a question about client events. Come on in here, Richard.
Katie, what kind of client events are you doing? That
great question, like Richard.
Friendly kind of ones.
Why haven't I got a great question yet? Everyone gets great question.
Everything
I ask is terrible.
Because you're still too close to the screen, Sean.
I got
Sean's like,
got a new
tell me more about your business.
Sean like gets up, hey.
There, Sean, your face looks great. Client events. No, that so we thinking of the year so far this year. So we did yoga and mimosas at the beginning of the year. And so we normally team up like at a bar or a gym or somewhere, depending on space. We do a crawfish boil every year. So crawfish is like big here in Houston. And so we do that every year. Crawfish boil. Then we do a back to school supply drive. We do a food drive that's coming up here at the end of October. We're doing a canned food drive for, pre-November or whatever. And then we'll do like a holiday party-ish towards the end of the year. And so I want to do something with like either Toys for Tots or like adopting a family or something, or just some sort of like, drinking fest or something, towards, I don't know, towards the end of the year. It normally has some sort of like, drink component or food component. And then it has like a charitable component as well, so that people can feel good about themselves as they pound drinks.
So you're doing something like every other month for everybody.
Yeah, we try to do like every other month ish, maybe it a little bit more than quarterly, but not like 4 to 6 a year.
Before I get into Andrew's question, I'm just curious, kind of for myself. I want to get way more into client events. I kind of don't know where to begin. Should you jump into it? Should you team up with someone? Should you start small and grow from there? Like I want to do a pie giveaway this year for Thanksgiving. And like, I don't know, I'm nervous that I'm just going to do it completely wrong.
Well, you need to hurry up, Sean. You've only got 2 weeks.
Oh, I've already ordered 300 pies. So
Okay.
Oh shit. You better hope that your clients are into that. No, so I mean, I think one of the things is like a lot of people will, great question, John. A lot of the times people will,
Thank you.
you're very welcome. I don't know why I'm leaning into just my mic, but all right. So a lot of times people will like hear about events that people are doing after having years of past clients and things like that. They're like, oh, I need to go do this where I'm spending thousands of dollars to like try to knock it out of the park. And so like our events when we first started was like we went to like a coffee shop that I like down the street from my house that I knew the owner, and we did like free coffee on Tuesdays for like 3 hours, like on the second Tuesday of every month. Right. And so we would go like sit in the coffee shop and like our friends and past clients and things like that would come in and we would buy them coffee. Right. And so that was like an event. It was like a couple $100s. Right. As we've, you know, made more of an effort to this, like then it's continued to increase as far as like what we're doing and stuff like that. You know, we try to do events in places like in like public spots, right? So instead of like buying out a bar or a restaurant, like we try to do it somewhere where it's like maybe a little bit larger of a space. So like you just have like a small reserved section in that bar, in that restaurant or whatever it may be. So like it also, one, doesn't seem like if no one shows up or if it's a small thing, like then it's like, oh, well, there's tons of people at this place, right? Also other people will naturally like ask you like, oh, hey, what are you guys doing over here? And you're like, oh, like this is a thing for our, you know, clients. Can I buy you a drink? Da, 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 da. And you can like have a conversation with someone. So there's opportunity to talk to more people that aren't there for your thing. But I mean, we basically have looked to, we've also looked to do stuff like, just with like people and to support businesses, you know, that our clients own or that like one of our friends owns or things like that. Cause then you can normally get like a better deal on the food or the drinks or the whatever it may be. Also lean in on your vendors, right? So if you have a lender or an inspector or something that you know, connect to your clients a lot and help to provide them a lot of business, like don't be afraid to ask them for a couple hundred or you know, 1,000 or whatever it may be dollars to support the event. Especially then they should come do kind of thing. So yeah.
That's a good idea. I need someone to split these pies with me. It was pricey.
Well, and so for the pie thing, I mean, I would recommend, you know, sending out some sort of like email, like, hey, register for your pie type thing.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm getting a thing going, like a email blast and like a flyer campaign going. I'm getting it all going, but I'm kind of tight for time here. I was gonna do it at my open house actually, because then it helps both ways. But
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if I'll have 300 people coming through.
come through an open house for a pie.
Yeah. Andrew has a couple questions. Come in here, Andrew. Andrew,
Hey, sorry, I couldn't unmute. So in the very beginning,
you're
where
too
did I
close
write?
to the
I can't even see
camera.
it. So before you had all of these agent referral lead sources and everything that's providing you a lot of business right now, what were you doing in the very beginning? Like what were you like? You were a brand new agent in 2017. You didn't have a big agent referral network. You're just starting out. Like you just happened to your sphere. Were you hosting events right away? Like what were you doing?
No, I mean, the first deals that I really started doing were from my sphere. You know, I think I was fortunate that like although a lot of my friends kind of already owned homes, a lot of them were looking to purchase their first home. You know, so that was kind of the beginning. I did a lot of open houses. You know, I didn't follow up very well with those people. But like a lot of, I did get a decent amount of business from that. But then once I realized that like the agent referrals and, you know, the past client referrals and things like that were a viable lead option, that's like where I kind of then put my time and efforts into, as opposed to trying everything. And then like, as we've scaled the team, that's when now, you know, they're doing open houses and stuff like that.
Do you have any strategies towards open houses?
I mean, so we always advise our agents like that they need to be putting out at least 20 to 30 signs. So we always have, you know, those ordered and in the office. You know, they generally for ones where the neighborhood allows it and the geography allows it, like they'll door knock the week before the open house. So they'll normally go out on like maybe Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday to door knock to invite the neighbors to the open house and have conversations. you know, in like our farms and things like that, we'll sometimes send mailers out, right? So if we're planning well in advance, or if it's one of our listings, sometimes we'll do like, okay, hey, we know this is launching next week, so this week we're going to send out, you know, the like flyer type thing where it says, you know, open house next week, new listing coming soon, you know. We'll, again, if it's in our farm, we'll also generally like circle dial around the listing as well. So we're going to try to hit as many different things as possible, like, as opposed to just being like, okay, we're going to put it in the MLS and like hope people show up. You know, and then we want them to like, you know, go Instagram live or Facebook live, like, and just kind of continue to do these things. And like, a lot of this stuff like isn't necessarily like to get people to come to the open house. It's like let's get the next listing type of thing, right? And so like when we go through like the listings that we've gone on listing appointments for, like a lot of them are on like the same street or in the same neighborhood as houses we've already sold. And so that's like what I'm going for. Obviously, like I want their open houses to be busy and people to come to them. But like if we're knocking it out of the park with marketing, you know, the probability of a seller contacting us or someone who's thinking about selling contacting us is way higher than if we just, you know, put it in the MLS.
Absolutely.
The door knocking strategy is brilliant, especially if you're scared to door knock, because people like if you're just invited, they want to know what their neighbors are selling for. So like they're more reciprocal when you're like inviting them to an open house. I actually got a listing appointment this week doing that exact strategy. And sorry, Katie, you said 20 to 30 signs. That's insane. I do 7 signs. Do you find more people come when you put way more signs out? I feel like a freaking amateur right now.
No, I mean, I think like it's hit or miss, right? Like if people are going to come, they're probably going to come anyways. But like, you know, I always like to have like 4, you know, signs in a major intersection, like, you know, at each side of the light kind of thing. So
is that more for brand awareness too? Or is that
yeah, right. I mean,
yeah.
I think all of it big picture is all to ensure that people, you know who you are kind of thing. Right. Obviously it's some of it does help. Like some people do say like, hey, I saw the sign and I'm here now because I want to buy this house. But like, you know, I want the neighbor to be like, oh shit, like my realtor put out 4 signs and 2 of them were in front of the house and 1 was on the street corner. Right. Like this is crazy. Like we should go with them.
I also do a flag. What do you think of the
Oh,
flags?
one of the big flags.
Yeah, it's his open house.
Love it.
Yeah.
Is your face
Pretty
on
cool.
it?
No.
No, he wants
Again,
people to come to the open house.
Wow, the roast of Sean King.
That's what this is, right? Like, isn't that the goal?
Yep, every
it.
Monday at noon.
I
You know
quit.
what?
I'm starting
Still
my
20
own.
minutes left.
Start my
Katie's
own
going to be
mastermind.
talking in the next mastermind a little bit about automations. Can you give us a little preview of what you're going to talk about in your 1 p.m. appointment?
Yeah, I could. So
Awesome.
I can drop the link in the chat here in 19 minutes. We've got let me see here if I have it. Yeah. My Monday afternoon mastermind with Bob Tompkins. We're going to be talking about automations and I think just automations was what we said, but basically like ManyChat and like Zapier and the different things that you can do to set up you know, like lead magnets and stuff like that, like from Instagram, and, you know, tie them into your CRM and things like that. So we talk about that in a couple minutes.
Awesome.
Okay, I might join that actually. Am I allowed, or do you have to be with real?
No. You'll be
No, anyone can join. I guess you could come.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm thinking about joining real this year, so you better be on my good side.
This year, like 2023 or 2020.
I'm thinking probably at the end of the year when things slow down a bit, because I don't feel like ordering all my new signs and everything right now. So I'm thinking December, January. Any unique automations for your open house sign-ins from Gigi? Gigi, come on in here. So I just like when people participate. That's why I do this.
Gigi, can
I'm
you
here.
reread your question that Sean just read?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, you just had mentioned automations, and maybe we'll touch on it on the next training. But anything you do on your sign in? Do you have people sign in digitally? Is there an automation for that back into your CRM? Is there anything unique you're doing there with that?
Yeah. So no, I don't think it's very unique, but basically we have like a Google form. And so let me see. Let me share my screen here. I can show you guys.
So don't use a piece of paper you found in the car on the way over to the open house to get people to sign in, is what you're saying.
Well, the problem is like then you'll like lose the paper. Like
Yeah.
that's me. Okay. And so this is what we use. It's basically like welcome to our open house. You would select your name from this list. I want the agent to fill this out as opposed to giving this to the actual buyer. And so they just drop in the property address, the attendee, first name, last name, email, phone number, how they heard about the open house, do they have a property to sell, feedback, and notes. And so this goes into a spreadsheet where all of the open houses are in here and people can fill it in. And so like they can put the attendee feedback and then agent notes. And so they can put in like, hey, this person's interested in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, no condos or townhomes. They want a good sized lot, less than 450, garage is a plus, blah, 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 blah. And what's cool about the, not cool, but what's interesting about this is then this will, let me undo these things. This will read into our CRM and it tags it with the address that the person put in. It tags it with the agent name. It tags it that they came in as an open house, and then it puts all of the notes in here as well.
So are you using Zapier to get it from the Google form to the spreadsheet back into
Yes.
your CRM?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And then it automatically puts them on an action plan. It automatically, notifies the agent to follow up and do the things that they need to do. But yeah.
Do you have
I know.
campaigns running? Sorry, Sean.
No, sorry.
Just
What was
do you have
that?
drip campaigns running, like keeping them in the loop, or are you relying on the agents on your team to stay in touch with everybody?
So we do have like a long-term buyer campaign that like sends them, hey, this is why you should have a realtor, I can't think of whatever other emails are on there, but all of the basic like bullshit buyer emails that you would send out to a buyer.
Yeah.
But like if it's someone who I've had a conversation with you, then the action plans simply notify you to make contact. And so like if you put someone on an A lead, that's going to make you give you a task every 7 days. If you put someone on a B lead, that would be every 14 days. And a C lead, I think, is every 28 days. And so that's kind of the cadence of communication. So if you say, you're looking to move in 6 months, then that would be a C lead, right? But if you're like, hey, I'm looking to move soonish in the next 90 days, then like that'd probably be an A lead, right? So I don't like automating follow-up for people that when they want to buy, right? Because like if I get off the phone with you and then I send you an email of like, this is why you should beware of waiving inspections, you're like, the fuck is this? Like I literally just talked to you, so I just don't enjoy that type of communication.
Don't say fuck, all right? This is a family channel.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I thought I knew my audience. I'm sorry. My mistake.
I'm kidding. I say fuck.
I'll go
like 3
pray.
times.
I'll go pray later.
I know you're on a time crunch here, so I don't want to keep you too long. We're gonna have you back though, so you get ready for that. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your social media strategy. Like I see you do like your opening box thing. You have a very unique style you do on Instagram. Are you using that on YouTube kind of thing? Just go over that a little bit.
As far as I think YouTube is like more professional for me than Instagram is.
So you're not eating bananas though.
No, I feel like that would not be a good look for me.
For any realtor.
Yeah, no, if you want to just completely, throw away your career, I guess you could do something like that. No, I'm kidding. No, I mean, I YouTube is like more professional, more informational, more educational, right? Like it's me talking about like the top 5 things to do in Houston, or the, pros and cons of living in Houston, or that type of, kind of more honestly boring information. Instagram, like I have a good mix of like, hey, here's boring information about the home buying process, but then more information on, like things to do in Houston. I also do like, you know, the shoe stuff and things like that. So it's like, I think a little bit more personality. But what I found with YouTube and the longer that we've done YouTube is like people will follow on Instagram and then they'll send a DM. They're like, hey, I've been following you on YouTube and whatever. Right. So like when people are like researching and using YouTube to research, like often they'll end up reaching out on like Instagram or other platforms.
So are you getting more business then directly from YouTube? I guess YouTube, you're getting more random people, and Instagram, it's more personalized.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
I know it's a very basic thing to say, but I wanted to hear your perspective.
no, for sure. So that's a great question. As far as
Thanks.
you're welcome. YouTube is definitely like garners more direct business. I think Instagram is more of like brand recognition. I get a lot of agent referrals as DMs from Instagram, right? I have people like I had a listing appointment that I went on over the weekend that like, he's like, oh yeah, I saw in your video yesterday that you posted about whatever. And so like, he didn't necessarily like they aren't necessarily coming in directly from Instagram, but like they're following and watching, if that makes sense. Like a consumer's never going to comment on your Instagram and be like, that was a really funny video, or that was a really informational video. Like, I would love for you to sell my home in 6 months. Like they just in 6 months reach out. They're like, hey, I've been thinking about selling. Could we talk about it? You know?
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I get the DMs kind of, but it's more building the rapport than them reaching out to sell their house with me, right? Sorry. And does anyone have any questions here before Katie wraps up? I know you got to run, Katie. I'm not trying to kick you off. I'm on your schedule here. I could talk to you all day.
I have one quick. I know we kind of touched on just mentioning ManyChat, but I want to know if you could just talk about, because I'm getting targeted your ad constantly, like every other day I see it. You're my agent partner in Houston, basically.
Like,
but
ignore.
But you were the first person that I know of that used ManyChat to automate a prompt to essentially have buyers book appointments for consults to you through your Calendly through paid ads, right?
Yeah.
And what have you learned in that process? Like, have you needed to tweak anything? Like, are you pivoting to buyers and sellers guides now, or?
Yeah, well, and so that's literally the entire conversation on our next call is going to be around that. So I'm gonna like dig into it and like actually set one up on the call. But so the ad that I set up, you know, people in other markets and in other cities are like, GD, stop, you know, targeting me, whatever. Like the entire point was for me to retarget people that follow me. And I was like, I didn't want to do the 15-mile radius. I was like, I want this to be to my followers kind of as a brand recognition thing. We also are running it as a local ad, right? But like the entire thing was like, you know, I want agents that follow me to see it. Because like it is a thing that like every time you get on Instagram, you're like, oh my God, like, yeah, I'm, you know, kind of thing. So we do have two running, like one hitting everyone that follows me and then one of people in our local market. But to get back to your question or whatever, basically, using ManyChat, like you can have to where if people DM you a specific keyword, then you can set up either a conversation with them. And so old school, like people used to use them with Facebook ads, right? And you'd run a Facebook ad and then it would be like, you know, comment here for more information. And then you'd comment and it would end up being in the DMs and it would be like, oh, like, Andrew, thank you so much for your thing. Like, when are you looking to move? Like 0 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months, 6 to 9 months, 12 plus months, whatever. And like, then it would like be a conversation, but it was like so body that like everyone kind of stopped using it. But like the keyword automation now I really like, because you can make it a lot shorter and just kind of get to the point. Like, hey, do you want this buyer guide? Comment guide. Do you want this, you know, seller guide? Comment sell, or like whatever it is. We've been using it for stuff like that. We've been using it for like, I recently listed a fourplex. And so like on that particular post, I was like, comment invest for more information on this property. And then if people commented and invest, it sent the Chime link to their DMs, right? And then it would comment on the post and say, hey, Andrew, thanks so much for, you know, commenting, check your DMs. And then since it's on Chime, it makes them force register after how many ever properties, right? And so that's like then like my email capture. Sharon Colon in Miami is she's been doing a lot of like the short form property tours, kind of like Tyler Hassman does, like the vertical video short form tours. And she's recently implemented on every single tour now, comment, you know, if it's 123 Main Street, comment 123 for more information on this property. Or DM me 123 for more information on this property. I'm not sure which one she's doing. And like, she's started to capture emails of people. And hers basically, I think we set it up where it's like, you DM her the keyword, it responds with, you know, hey, thanks so much. Here's information on the property. Hey, would you like for me to send you more properties? Like, what's the best email address for you? And then when they respond with their email, it says, you know, thanks so much for your email. I'll get this over to you in the next 24 hours. If you don't want to wait for more properties, you can browse more homes here, and sends them to her website. Right. So if they aren't necessarily responding, she's still getting them to her website, and then hopefully getting a forced registration there. And so she had said that like a lot of people that had previously DM'd her on other properties, now she's actually getting their email addresses. And then I would say the next step from there would be like, oh, hey, like if you want to hop on a discovery call, book it here, you know, or something like that. So
I love that.
She, okay, just out of curiosity, I know you're gonna run. You're mainly in the Houston area.
Yeah.
Just so I know, because I actually did, not to brag, but I sent 2 referrals to Texas last year. So I just want to know which part of
Were they
Texas
in
you're
Houston or Austin?
San Antonio. So don't worry,
Oh,
guys.
okay.
You're good. Okay, you're good.
Andrew and I both were like this MFer.
Okay,
I saw
everyone
his
add
face.
Katie your favorites on Instagram. I just did it just so you can all see. She has to
Super
run.
proof.
I'm gonna be at your next meeting. I'm really excited about this. Anyone, Kristen, can you send us the link?
Yeah, the link's in the chat, but I can send it to everybody too.
Oh, it's right there. Found
It's
it.
in the chat
Okay,
again right now.
thanks. All right. Sorry, I know you got to start in 5 minutes, so we'll wrap this up. Thank you so much, Katie. That was amazing. We're gonna send you a gift basket. So
Thanks.
make sure you give Kristen your address. I know people are uncomfortable giving me their address.
Oh yeah, no, that's like a hard pass, but
I might show up. So
yeah, actually I don't live in Texas. That was a lie.
Yeah, it's not Houston.
Yeah, not Houston, not Texas.
Yeah. Your Instagram has moved me to Texas. That's just
It is. It is. That was a mistake on my part. I
Yeah.
actually live in Vermont.
Oops.
Yeah.
typo. Okay. Yeah, we'll let you go here.
Thank you, Katie.
But I will
that
see
was
you
really
shortly.
awesome.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
That was
Thank y'all.
amazing. That was great.
Thanks, Katie.